Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Welfare Clinic. Today we're going to talk about two important issues affecting our community: domestic violence and forced marriage. My guest today, who has got significant knowledge and have been campaigning for many years in these two fields, is Naz Ali. Naz, welcome to the show.
Oli, thank you for inviting me to your show.
We're going to talk about, as I said, two important issues which is affecting our community. First of all, let's talk about domestic violence. What is domestic violence? Is it where somebody physically being attacked, or there is psychological, mental torture as well? Is that included as domestic violence? What is
Yes,
domestic violence?
domestic violence, it can be a psychological abuse, such as controlling, making the partner look like they're not worth it, torturing them. Also, financial abuse, also considered as a DV, which is sometimes the husband rely the wife to do manage household finance. And there is a physical abuse, such as common assault, slapping, punching, that's classified as a common assault. And some victims of domestic violence, they suffer from serious injury.
But just in terms of the domestic violence, we know there is so many cases, but often those reports doesn't get reported. Incidents don't get reported. People often don't speak out because they are, or they feel they are protecting the honor of their parents, their families. What is so honor about being suffering in silence from domestic violence?
To, let's start with the honor. When we say domestic violence is an honor crime, how can that be an honor crime? What I call is a dishonor. How can you beat someone's and then you said it's an honor crime? That is disgrace. Secondly, the victim, why they don't come forward. Sometimes the lack of communication, language barrier, and they don't even know who to go ask for help. The alternative, there is a lot of organization out there helping people with the domestic violence. It's not necessary they have to go to the police. And also the language barrier is them going to the police. Sometimes the police doesn't act, doesn't take them seriously because they don't understand.
But you say that, but the police will say you are very much wrong in your conclusions, that they don't take seriously. They will say that they take any sort of violence, especially domestic violence, very seriously.
Yeah, the offender who commit the offense, whether a male or female, they commit offense, domestic violence against their partner, they quite often can be manipulative. They play psychological game at the police station interview. They come out say, "Oh, I didn't do it." Such as a common assault, you don't have no bruise. If the victim called 999, say, "My husband slapped me," there is no.
Do you not get the feeling there is also women or men may also make up these stories because
To
they
get away with their crime.
get away with their
This is what I
crime,
was
but
saying.
also make false allegation against each other for the sake of making those allegations?
Well, the men does, I know, when they do get arrested.
What about the women?
No, they don't. The women are the one who generally suffer from domestic violence abuse, but they tend to be proven by the prosecution service and the police wrong sometimes because of the lack of evidence, and their boys never get hurt. When the
But
husband,
how can you say that men who makes up these stories but women don't? How can you be so sure about that?
well, I have recent year I've seen many cases where I went through the criminal proceeding where the victim was genuinely telling the police the truth, but they police did not have any evidence, and then it depends how the man has said on the police interview. Based on that, police believe them, release them on police bail.
Why is that?
Well, this is something we it's hard to comment how the Crown prosecution, the police handled the case. The recent year, the police has been criticized how they handle the domestic violence cases. In my opinion, serious domestic violence is a very serious crime, and we have about 100 victims dying a day in UK or suffering behind the door. They can't speak for themselves because they're too scared. Whether if the husband abused wife and she goes to report to the police, then his family turn around to pressurizing her to drop the charges or blackmailing her if they have a children that you cannot access to have your children. This is because the victim doesn't know their right.
And those incidents mainly happens in South Asian communities. Or
I
does it
wouldn't.
happen in other communities
It's
as well?
happened in every community.
And what can those victims do to get the support and the help that they may need without having to broadcast what is happening to them?
Well, that's really simple. There is a tool you can victim can contact. There is a numerous organization out there for domestic violence. They help the victim to escape from their property, find them a safer place to go and stay, refuse. Secondly, they can also go through a family law proceeding. They can get an injunction. They can move out of the house, get an injunction against their husband or the boyfriend, not to harass them, not to have a contact. Also, they can go to the police, and even they don't want the family to know, they can simply call 999, say, I want to meet a police officer, this is what's been happening, maybe
And
not on
would
the
they,
spot.
if they report those incidents, would they get the protection that they need? Would they
They
be
do.
protected
Yeah.
from the husband or the husband's family, as you said?
Yes. There will be like, if husband attacked his wife and he get arrested by the police, he will be, if he get released on police bail, he will given a bail condition not to approach his victim. However, it's only protect her from her husband, but it does not protect her from his family. This is because he's the only person being arrested. The whole family did not commit an
Because I've,
offense.
I've, I've seen case studies where somebody have been suffering for years, but they haven't come forward. In some incidents, it took victims almost 15, 20 years to come out and report the incidents. Why is it they take so long, and why do they suffer for such a huge period of time in silence before they come out and raise their concerns or report those incidents?
There could be a one reason based on they to try to protect themselves. They've probably been blackmailing emotionally, psychologically, if they have a children. Like if you do, as I said to you earlier, this kind of things happen. If they have a children, they've been told that if you go to the police, you are not able to access to your children. But my message to the victim of DV, that no one can separate you from your children, neither of the court in United Kingdom you live in. There is a way to protect yourself. If you are a victim of DV, it's not necessary you have to report to the police. You can always go to a family law solicitor.
The
They're
third
under,
parties.
yeah, third party. They're under legal, and you get legal aid for DV cases. So you go there, talk to them in confidential. They will advise you. They will help you to get an injunction to prevent yourself. They can also get a restraint order under the family law code law. So there is a two injunction can be applied to the partner and his family. There's an injunction under the Family Law Act, which is applied to the victim of domestic violence, that will protect her from his family and anybody is involved with him, including his friends. So if he try to make contact to the victim through to third party, they will be arrested, including himself.
Okay. But also in terms of the question I always wanted to ask,
Yeah.
is it only women who suffers domestic violence, but is it men too?
Yes, men does suffer from domestic violence.
But wouldn't it be a little bit more difficult for the men actually to come out and report because of their ego-ness? You know, they are the man and they are getting attacked by their partner or girlfriend, wife in the relationship.
Yeah, to be honest, because there isn't many men recent year come forward with the domestic violence they reported, but this is from not from South Asians background. It's mainly from another background like English. The year ago we had a survey. I've done a survey, and there was a 30% men in UK that suffer from domestic violence in South Asian
So
community as
that's
well.
still quite a lot,
Yeah,
isn't it?
quite a lot.
30%.
But that has been kept secret because of the confidentiality and privacy to protect them under Data Protect Act. The victim doesn't want to be revealed that they've been victim of domestic violence. But the rare cases get reported, please. But again, my message to the male victim of domestic violence, if you are a victim of DV, please do come forward and report this matter to the police.
And what can community do? What can community as a whole do to prevent DV happening in the community? We have loads of community leaders. We have loads of organization in the communities right across the country. And what can they do to making sure those sort of incidents does not happen in their own community?
To raise awareness, educate those who's been abusing their partner, hold a workshop, or alternatively, as I said, there is a loss of charity. Even there is some men I come across, they said the reason they abuse their wife, they hate their wife or their girlfriend because they can't control their anger when they lost it. For those men, it's my advice is to the seek anger management to prevent you committing an offense.
And when there is a domestic violence occurring in a relationship, if there is a children involved, those children also suffer psychological torture, mental torture, and sometimes it can affect them when they grow up.
Yeah, it does affect the children if they see their mother being abused by their father and in front of them
Or vice
physically.
versa.
Yeah, so obviously that would have a huge impact, and that could impact the child psychologically as well. So there is some cases children being abused. The mother had been abused as well in domestic violence by the fathers, not only the mother. But then again, I would urge those mother in South Asian community, if you are a victim of domestic violence, if you've got nothing to be fair or scared of, just come forward, report to the police. Or there is no thousands of organizations in UK now helping the victim of DB to come forward. If you don't want to tell your identifications to the police, they can keep it
But
confidential.
often also people find that they don't have any relatives or they don't have any friends in this country. And often those people are more vulnerable or more at risk of being facing abuse from their partner than somebody who may have established a life and family in this country.
Well, this is a core I can understand they're extremely vulnerable, and as I said, for them there is a way to get seek help. If they have a children, they're going to school, talk to their children tutor and explain to them the home situations and raise a concern, or go to the GP.
What if they don't have children? Because everybody might not have
Yeah, if they have no
children.
children, they have a general practitioner GP. They can go to one-to-one. Ask if they can't speak English. Ask someone to translate them for them and explain to the doctor that I've been victim of DV, and I need the help, and I also need a protection. There is a GP can automatically refer them to the DV helpline service. Also could refer to the police.
So there is loads of
There's a lots of ways.
help out
Yeah,
there, and people shouldn't
yeah.
suffer in silence. In
They
other words,
shouldn't. The victim of domestic violence is my message to them. You should never suffer in silence. You should come and report this matter. As I said at the beginning, and I'm saying to you now, there is number of ways to seek help for yourself, through to the court proceeding, through to the police, through to the charity organizations, through to your GP. So
yeah.
there's many ways of seeking help.
We're going to move now to talk about forced marriage. And those are sometimes interconnected because there could be a potential DV forcing individual to be taken abroad to get them married off to relatives. And I've looked at Home Office Forced Marriage Unit. And if you look at some of their reports, and I'm sure you have, and you have done extensive research on this particular field, what is forced marriage, just from your experience?
In my opinion, the forced marriage is something that I'm not willing to be committed to it. I've been asked to marry to someone against my will, and I think that person not suitable for me. I have right to say no. But again, coming to South Asian community, even Arab community, it doesn't only happen. Let me make it clear for you. The forced marriage did not only happen to in South Asian community. It's happened to in Middle East. It's happened to South
Now
African
people say
community
it's
as well.
Islamic. People say your parents is doing it for your best, and this is the best thing to do because your parents are asking you
See,
to do
you
so.
just made me in a very confused and complex situation. You bring the Islamic and you brought the Sharia law in here, and you brought the Quran is involved. The Islam said that parents said doing for your good. What did the Holy Quran said about? If we go back to the Prophet life, wasn't he allowed to marry to the person he chose to be with? It comes from the Holy Quran as well, said if you know intend to spend some time with the person you are against to be married, you shouldn't force yourself. Not at all.
We know of cases where people do take their daughter or even son in some cases abroad, but mainly daughters. Daughters are not allowed to come back until she is pregnant or expecting a baby. Often they live in a suburb, a village, where communication might not be so great. Um, and it is a very sensitive issue, and often people don't like talking about it. But when somebody finds themselves in those sort of position, what can they do? Where can they? How can they get the help that they need?
Yeah. Here is my message for everyone who travelled abroad with their parents and there is an age of time to get married and their parents saying that let's go to holiday. First of all, my advise them to they make sure they have their phone with them when they live in United Kingdom and they also made a contact with their network, ask them to have the international phone connections. So if they go as soon as they landed to Dhaka airport or Sylhet, every airport has got a forced marriage unit telephone number. So even if they cannot call them because they're scared if the other person can overheard their conversation, they can contact them by email or WhatsApp. A charity called Freedom, I was an ambassador to the charity, especially with the forced marriage, is funded by Anita Pram. She is a director of the charity. She's also a magistrate for Thames Magistrate Court, also family law court judge. She ran this charity. And working with Anita, I have come many cases where the victim been taken to overseas, such as Pakistan and Bangladesh. But it was never impossible for Freedom to work and bring this victim to UK. We had a victim, a case where she was taken to Pakistan by her mother and father, and her boyfriend reported us that he hadn't have a contact for her few days ever since she left. Then he contacted her via WhatsApp. She messaged him that her parent has fixed a marriage with her cousin. She's due to get married to him within less than 48 hours time.
It's interesting you mentioned cousin. It's often
It's happened.
where there is a forced marriage, it's always mainly to the relatives because they want to bring somebody over into this country.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is what happened with our South Asian community to bring their uncle's son or auntie's son to marry to them. And sometimes it's not a relative as well. It can be someone's totally stranger. I come across cases where there was a forced marriage, but he's not related to the mother's side or the father's side. He's just completely stranger. The girl got married to him. She was raped by him many times. Every single night she spent 6 weeks of her life in Bangladesh. Then she come back, she was
And a
pregnant.
lot of them get married very young as well, don't they?
Yes, because they've been saying that, oh, we're going for a holiday. The moment they go, oh, you had a groom ready for you to get married. And if I was in a victim position, I could understand. But I do put myself in their shoe and I can tell how they feel.
We are almost end of the show, Naz, and I think this is two topics that we can talk for hours.
Indeed.
In 30 seconds, do you have a message for my viewers, especially about DV and also about forced marriage? What can they do if they find themselves in those sort of circumstances?
Yes. My message to victim of domestic violence, please, if you are suffering for long time or short time domestic violence abuse, please do contact 101 or 99 to report this matter. Alternatively, seek a family law solicitor to obtain an injunction. Also seek further help from them. Also, there is a charity organization, a number of organizations help victims of DV. They can help you to get accommodation for yourself, to stay. If you have a children, find somewhere safe for you to and your child to stay. Secondly, victim of forced marriages. There is a charity called Freedom, especially with the forced marriage. You can contact them to their website. They also have a smartphone app. You can download them from App Store. You can contact them. You don't have to talk, and the app will take you through to if you are in immediate danger. You can press the button, and this app is direct connect to the Freedom's control room as well as Met Police and the police around the UK. And this is a free app you can download from website. Also, you can call 101 or 99 to seek help from the police. And if your parents or your relative planning to take you to overseas during the holiday period, please do let your school, if you're in school or college or university, let them know that you're traveling and let one of your friends know and the reason for you to traveling. also, please could you ensure your mobile phone is with you when you are traveling from United Kingdom, so that you can contact relevant agency to help you.
Naz, thank you so much for coming to the show and sharing your knowledge and your experience. I am sure our viewers will find this extremely useful. So once again, thank you very much for coming to the show. Dear viewers, I hope you found the show very useful. You also can register with a British Embassy of a relevant country that you're traveling to, and to let them know that you're also traveling and where you're going to be staying and how long you're going to be staying. The most important message from my guest today is that you should not suffer in silence. If you are suffering from domestic violence, or if you feel that you may be getting forcibly married, which is not Islamic, which is not supported by the Quran or by Islam at all, nor is it supported by the society, so you should seek help. I hope you stay well and safe. Until next time, do take care.